It's 2020, y'all. Yeah. And it's different than when it was 2016. You know, the game has been elevated. As we can tell, there's no expense being spared. We had a black billionaire's lunch.
The new lawsuit coming with Jay, the part with Jay. I go, oh shoot, like
to us, black excellence,
that had to be there.
We getting tighter, you know what I'm saying? And united we stand, and ain't nothing else.
Black excellence, they're sitting there like, yeah.
Good?
Oh, you put that thing on the wall.
How we do it here on Saturday, just as well as how we do it here on Saturday, just as well as
Jay-Z. Just hearing the name brings up images of power, wealth, and a career that has looked bulletproof. He's always been painted as untouchable, the guy who built an empire from the ground up, the rapper who became the first billionaire in hip-hop, the man married to Beyonce, and the mogul behind Rock Nation. For years, he's been seen as one above the chaos, far from the scandals and shadows that took down so many others.
I love you. I'm having a great night.
Put your fellas on sitting. Put your Rockefeller.
Jay-Z ain't answering the phone?
He ain't answering the motherfucking phone.
There's only one person.
Oh, go on.
And I call him Sean. That's Jay-Z. We call each other Sean.
Okay.
Yeah. Nobody else could call me Sean.
He's the only person who's Sean approved.
There's not a single person that
outside
should be,
of family.
That should be outside of my mother.
Okay,
That should be calling me. Yeah, they should be calling me Sean.
But tonight, things feel different. For the first time, whispers aren't just whispers anymore. They're turning into full-blown accusations. The FBI, which everyone thought was locked in on Sean Diddy Combs when it comes to Tupac Shakur's Vegas incident, is now looking at someone else too. And shockingly, that name is Jay-Z, hip-hop's golden king, Diddy's closest ally. The man who seemed untouchable, suddenly he's being spoken about as a second main suspect. The thought alone sends shockwaves through the industry. How could the same man who became billionaire mogul now be dragged back into the shadows of September 1996?
The man charged in Tupac Shakur's speaking out from behind bars for the first time. Dwayne "Keefe D. Davis insists he was 300 miles away when the rapper was shot. Now he's pointing the finger at someone else. Chief Investigative Correspondent Erica Tursky has this ABC News exclusive.
The death of rap legend Tupac Shakur nearly 30 years ago became one of the nation's most notorious unsolved.
Hey, Keith, Metro Police, come over here.
Then in 2023, a breakthrough when prosecutors charged this man with ordering the hit, the only person arrested for Shakur's, who now tells ABC News authorities have the wrong man.
I'm innocent. I ain't killed nobody, never did ever kill nobody. They don't have no evidence against me. Came and put me in Las Vegas.
61-year-old Dwayne "Keefe D. Davis says the night of September 7, 1996, he was in Los Angeles, 300 miles from the Las Vegas intersection where Tupac Shakur was gunned down.
Prove that I orchestrated this. You know what I'm saying? Your key witness orchestrated this. They top witness is the lead suspect.
The defense pointing to someone else, Reggie Wright Jr., a former cop and security guard for record mogul Suge Knight, who was driving the car Tupac was in the night he was shot. Wright has denied any involvement and has said it bothers me because I was in charge of possibly protecting this young man. And prosecutors say Davis incriminated himself in his 2019 memoir Compton Street Legend and in this on-camera interview.
You said the shots came from the back. Who shot Tupac?
To keep it for the code of the streets. It just came from the backseat, bro.
Davis now says his previous admissions connected with the shooting were made under duress and for money, claiming he did not write his own memoir and was fed information by police.
I shouldn't have said nothing. You know what I'm saying? I shouldn't have said nothing. And I'm innocent, man.
Prosecutors declined to respond directly to Davis's new claims. They say their case is strong and they expect a conviction. Tupac Shakur is one of the best-selling rap artists of all time, 75 million albums to date. Most of those sales posthumously, thanks in part to hits like California Love. Davis's arrest followed years of fan-driven theories that an intense rivalry between East Coast and West Coast rappers sparked the fatal attack on Shakur.
And I'm being held against my will. I'm supposed to be out there enjoying my twilight. God got my back, and God will see me through this.
The judge has not yet weighed the defense's claim of a different suspect, and right now Diane Davis is scheduled for trial in February. Diane?
Chief Investigative Correspondent Aaron Katersky, thank you.
Even the internet can't resist bringing up old receipts. People are pointing back to that infamous elevator moment with Solange, Beyonce's sister, who was caught on camera swinging at Jay-Z. As one person put it, fans didn't step in, didn't say a word, and didn't care. To them, it's proof that maybe Jay was never the untouchable man he portrayed himself to be. The real bombshell, though, is the new evidence being whispered about. Reports claim Jay-Z wasn't just a bystander watching Diddy pull strings. Instead, they suggest he was an active accomplice, someone helping orchestrate the setup that led to Tupac's demise. Back then, during the height of the East Coast versus West Coast feud, the atmosphere was already electric with fear and paranoia. Jay wasn't the global mogul we know now. He was still climbing, standing shoulder to shoulder with Diddy, stepping into the spotlight left behind after Biggie and Tupac were gone.
I feel like this. I feel that the last word is always God. But Pac saved my life. The reason why I say Pac saved my life, I got shot in the head, got grazed some other places, but I still got the bullet in my head. It's still there. But for as trying to get him to the hospital, didn't make me realize that I was shot. Because usually when you get shot in the head, the first thing the person do is panic. You know, bam, I'm shot in the head, I'm about to die, you know. And once you do that, you can't drive nowhere. My whole thing was, Pac, he was shot. I'm like, you shot? I'm gonna get you to the hospital. I'm driving, telling him I'm gonna get to the hospital, kick back. Pac looked at me and said, you know what? You need the doctor more than me, you the one shot in your head.
And here's where it gets chilling. If any of these allegations hold weight, then the partnership between Jay and Diddy, the most admired brotherhood in modern hip-hop, might not have been built on music, money, or loyalty. It might have been built on something far darker. Think about that. The idea of a pact. A silence so tight, it's lasted nearly 3 decades. For years, the industry marveled at how Diddy and Jay never wavered, even when everyone else fell out or cut ties. But what if that wasn't just friendship? What if it was survival? Picture this, 2 young moguls, not yet crowned, but desperate for control, realizing they could secure their future by keeping each other's secrets. That would explain why, even as scandal after scandal circled Diddy, Jay never turned his back. He never flinched. He never once let their bond in public. And maybe that bond wasn't just loyalty. Maybe it was about protecting something far darker than anyone ever realized.
It's 2020, y'all. Yeah. And it's different than when it was 2016. You know, the game has been elevated. As we can tell, there's no expense being spared. We had a black billionaire's lunch.
Even Wendy Williams once hinted at it, asking if Jay was really this behind the scenes, hiding a side that the world wasn't supposed to see. And now, with whispers growing louder, that question feels more relevant than ever. The whispers aren't whispers anymore, they're getting louder. People are saying the bond between Jay-Z and Diddy wasn't just friendship. It wasn't just business. It was a blood oath, a vow so deep that betrayal was never an option, no matter the cost. an oath to dominate hip-hop together, no matter what secrets had to stay buried. Here's the chilling part. What if that oath wasn't just metaphorical? What if this so-called pact of silence was the very key that unlocked the billions, the mansions, the platinum plaques, and those powerful corporate deals? If that's the case, then hip-hop's two most powerful moguls didn't just rise because of talent or hustle. They climbed to the top standing on the ashes of a rivalry that had already claimed its brightest star.
The new lawsuit coming with Jay, the part with Jay. I go, oh shoot, like
To us, black excellence, right?
that had to be there.
We getting tighter, you know what I'm saying? And united we stand, and ain't nothing else.
Black excellence, they're sitting there like, yeah. It's the billionaire brunch.
Oh,
Like,
I hate you, man.
unaware of anything going on here. This is the one time I'm gonna be with you is this year. Come on, bro.
Talk about the timing. Tupac was gone in September 1996. Just months later, Jay-Z's career suddenly shifted gears. From being just another hustler with mixtapes, often overshadowed by bigger names, Jay started stepping into the spotlight, filling that gap that Tupac's absence left wide open. But here's the catch. The FBI files suggest Jay wasn't simply lucky. The whispers say he may have had a hand in the machinery that turned this feud dangerous. Keefe D, the gang figure who admitted to organizing the drive-by, has been talking to federal agents. And let's be real, when someone with nothing left to lose starts spilling, names fall out like loose change. What if Jay-Z's name was one of them?
I'm innocent. I ain't nobody, never did, ever nobody. They don't have no evidence against me. Came and put me in Las Vegas.
61-year-old Dwayne Keefe D. Davis says the night of the September 7, 1996, he was in Los Angeles, 300 miles from the Las Vegas intersection where Tupac Shakur was gunned down.
Others even hinted at even more disturbing connections, saying they don't want it out if they were in any of those freak-off tapes, or if they played a role in any of those Diddy sessions. They don't want that reaching the public. And honestly, if that's true, it adds a whole new layer to this conspiracy. This revelation also flips their so-called friendship on its head. We've seen Jay and Diddy together for decades, inseparable at all those white parties in the Hamptons, raising glasses at Rock Nation brunches, smiling for the cameras as kings of hip-hop. But were they really celebrating loyalty, or were they celebrating survival? Their bond, when you look at it, feels less like friendship and more like two men handcuffed together. Because if one sinks, the other gets down too. That's not loyalty, that's shared guilt.
There's only one person.
Oh, go on.
And I call him Sean. That's Jay-Z. We call each other Sean.
Okay.
Yeah. Nobody else could call me Sean.
He's the only person who's Sean approved.
There's not a single person that
outside
should be,
of family.
That should be outside of my mother.
Okay,
That should be calling me. Yeah, they should be calling me Sean.
And when you go back and connect the dots, the paranoia around both men starts to make sense. Jay-Z always gave guarded interviews, his tone shifting the second anyone brought up the past. He built a reputation for control, for carefully curating every move, every appearance. Meanwhile, Diddy's flamboyance and over-the-top empire building always seemed like a mask, hiding flashes of volcanic rage. It's almost like every deal, every stage moment, every empire move wasn't just about ambition, it was about fear. Fear that the truth from that Vegas night might finally surface and blow the pact wide open.
Watch what happened with Hov. So Hov, 90, first album, Reasonable Doubt, he's on some lyrical shit, trying to show this.
I'm with you.
Biggie had the commercial success. That's 96. 96, now here comes the 97 album, In My Lifetime Volume 1. Now, who's the biggest artist in the world? Big. So Jay does, that's his shiny suit era. He does Sunshine. Him and Dane walking around with the bright suits on in the video. Sunshine, he making the songs with the girls and everything. Because that was working. And then he just felt like he felt stupid chasing Puff. So he goes and does the streets, just watching mixtape street. That got him back on fire in the streets. Then he comes with Hard Knock Life. Blueprint. Jay-Z meeting Kanye and Just Blaze was when he blazed his own point, his own lane, and became that.
And here's where things start getting chilling. The timing of Diddy's downfall. While lawsuits were stacking up, while Homeland Security raided his mansions, And while charges of exploitation and racketeering put him behind bars, most people thought we were just watching the fall of one man. But step back for a second, and the bigger picture starts to take shape. If Diddy goes down, Jay-Z can't walk away untouched. Why? Because the evidence doesn't stop at Diddy. It stretches like a shadow, linking the two together for decades. If Diddy's empire crumbles under testimony in court, then Jay's carefully polished image could shatter just as quickly.
Jay, your music saved my life, man. We're Sagittarius is Tupac. Thank you so much.
The loyalty that once made them look invincible now looks more like the rope tightening around both of their necks. And so the forbidden question comes up again and again. Was Jay-Z's rise to power really built on his talent and hustle? Or was his throne in hip-hop paved by a silence so heavy and so dark that it haunted every single step of his career? If that's true, then the culture he represents might not be built on rhymes at all. It might be built on betrayal and secrets that were never supposed to see the light of day. And that's exactly what makes it so haunting. The whispers of a blood oath, the FBI files, tying Jay-Z to the same crime now threatening to end Diddy's freedom, the strange timing of Jay's career shift. It all keeps circling back to one chilling possibility. Maybe Tupac's final night wasn't about one mogul calling the shots. Maybe it was about two future billionaires making a silent pact, sealing their destinies together in a deal so dark it could never be spoken about. And now, nearly 3 decades later, that silence is finally starting to crack.
A huge victory for Jay-Z and Diddy, actually, as a lawsuit has been dropped against them. This was a lawsuit that got a lot of headlines because, you remember, this was filed back in December. The accuser said she was just 13 at the time that, as she put it, Diddy and Jay-Z at a VMA after party back in 2000. Well, that lawsuit is no more. She voluntarily filed to dismiss it today.
The timing of Jay-Z's rise adds even more fuel to the fire. Tupac was taken out in September '96. Barely 3 months later, Jay-Z's second album dropped with a budget far bigger than his debut, stacked with big-name features, and backed by a serious marketing push. By 1997, when Biggie's own assassination sent more shockwaves through the industry, Jay was stepping right into the space those legends had left behind. Was it really just coincidence, or did the absence of the two most powerful rivals on either coast clear the runway for Jay to finally take flight? People forget this now, but his debut project didn't hit the way Rockefeller had hoped. But after Vegas, Jay's star didn't just rise, it shot up with an eerie inevitability that had people wondering if something deeper was at play. And when you look at what happened next, it's hard not to notice. Radio stations suddenly pushed Jay's tracks to the front of the line. Club DJs started spinning him constantly. Labels began to treat him like the future of the genre almost overnight. Was this organic growth, or was it the direct byproduct of removing his biggest obstacles? That's the question that keeps hanging in the air, because from the late 90s onward, Jay's rise was unstoppable. The album sold, the features dominated, the ventures multiplied, and his empire grew faster than anyone expected. But if all of that was built on silence from that September night, then the success wasn't just talent. It was shadows carrying him to the top. And it wasn't just about timing. Look at how authorities handled this case for decades. Reports suggest the FBI had names, testimonies, and even confessions as early as 2008. Dwayne "Keefe D. Davis admitted to handing over the weapon, admitted to being in the car, and even accused Diddy of putting up $1 million for the hit, yet nothing moved. Why? If one mogul was implicated, and now whispers place another at the center, were powerful forces keeping the trail cold? Imagine the cultural and financial weight of protecting hip-hop's biggest names at the height of its global rise. Would the government really risk tearing down two of its most bankable figures? Or was it easier to let the truth rot in sealed files? Commentators explain that when it came to racketeering charges, it wasn't just the seriousness, but the complexity. A jury would have to find not only that Sean Combs hit people or engaged in vicious behavior, but that he ran a criminal organization. It wouldn't be the first time former detectives suggested law enforcement deliberately held back because the fallout would have been too explosive. We're talking billion-dollar industries, stadium tours, clothing lines, and television networks, all tied to the men who may have been complicit in one of music's darkest nights. The FBI shielding them for stability or leverage might sound like conspiracy, but the pattern speaks for itself. Today, one suspect is already behind bars. Another, Diddy, sits in federal detention accused of exploitation and racketeering. And now Jay-Z's name surfaces in the same breath, yet he remains free, wealthy, and untouchable. When we look back at Jay-Z's career through this lens, the paranoia in his movements begins to make sense. He has always been known for his silence in interviews, for steering clear of discussions about Tupac or Biggie. What if it wasn't just professionalism? What if it was survival, a tactic to keep the past buried? Meanwhile, Diddy leaned into extravagance. Lavish parties, endless business ventures, flamboyant distractions, all designed to smother the darkness beneath. Two opposite strategies, one purpose, to keep the pact intact.
Do not entertain none of this and nothing over the phone. I'm gonna need you to get rid of all the leftover pizza boxes. The what? All the boxes left over from the pizza. All the boxes. Okay. Make sure you recycle the plastic like we talked about. Yeah. Did Jay reach out yet? Nah, Pop. He ghosting. Yeah, watch. What is doing? These things sweet. I'm in here.
Jay-Z reach out.
You about to get out on bail.
Jay-Z ain't answering the phone?
He ain't answering the phone.
One source remarked that if the truth about Tupac ever fully came out, 15 other names would follow, and all of them would be tied to the same two people, a father and son. Even silence comes at a cost. Observers have long noted Jay-Z's tendency to speak in metaphors about loyalty, betrayal, and survival, almost as if he was addressing ghosts from his past. Fans still dissect his verses, wondering if the subtext reveals more than he ever intended. When an artist constantly circles themes of trust and paranoia, you can't help but ask, are those shadows external critics or inner demons he can't shake? Diddy's path was different, but just as telling. His flamboyance, his volatility, his endless pursuit of expansion. It all looked like empire building, but maybe it was empire protecting. He projected excess and power, living loudly in public and surrounding himself with noise and spectacle. Yet behind that glittering exterior, cracks always showed through. He was infamous for sudden temper flares, clashes that seemed to erupt out of nowhere, and an almost manic drive to stay in motion. To some, it looked like the behavior of a man terrified of stillness, as if the quiet moments might force him to confront memories easier drowned beneath champagne fountains and relentless ambition.
Jay-Z and Diddy share a very close bond. Diddy recently revealed that only two individuals can call him by his birth name, Jay-Z and his mother. But Cassie and the record producer's accusations against Diddy have cast shadows over their relationship. Because Diddy seems like the new Epstein. Jay-Z faced scrutiny over his alleged romantic involvement with Foxy Brown, who was just 15 years old at the time of signing her.
Allegedly a romantical thing. It's all right, I'll say alleged, but we know. Yeah, she hit it before Beyonce.
Allegedly, Jay-Z orchestrated this relationship in exchange for a Hollywood career, even paying her hush money. Jay-Z's longtime friend and former business partner, Dame Dash, allegedly confirmed the truth. So in this tangled web of fame and secrecy, Jay-Z and Diddy find themselves at a crossroads. So in case you didn't know,
the longer their careers are traced, the more patterns of overcompensation start to show. Jay-Z became the ultimate master of control, meticulous business strategies, carefully curated interviews, and appearances calculated down to the last detail. He rarely left room for vulnerability. It was almost as if he knew discipline was his survival tool, because any crack in the armor might invite questions he could never answer. That kind of precision can build empires, but it also reveals the anxiety of someone constantly guarding a fragile truth. For Diddy, control looked different. It came through domination. Employees, collaborators, and even friends described being pulled into his whirlwind, pressured into situations that served him alone. In recent years, lawsuits painted a portrait of a man demanding compliance at all costs, treating his empire like a fortress against betrayal. Paranoia can twist power into something life-threatening. And when someone is rumored to be tied to something as haunting as Tupac's assassination, the possibility that morphed into aggression becomes hard to ignore. At one point, critics even dropped the word allegedly and went straight for the accusation. calling Sean Carter a piece of work, saying pimping wasn't bad enough, and claiming he wanted to strip the credibility from real gangsters in Houston. Even in their rare moments of vulnerability, the hidden burdens peek through. Jay-Z's admission about past mistakes have always been vague, never specific. But they carry weight, like they're about something bigger than industry feuds. Diddy, in his more cryptic interviews, sometimes lets regret slip out for just a moment before snapping right back into bravado. Those slips might mean nothing, or they might be glimpses of the guilt that's been chasing them since the 90s. And that's the tragedy here. Even men who seemed untouchable can't escape the weight of their choices. If they really did share responsibility for Tupac's last night, then every chart-topping single, every sold-out tour, and every champagne-soaked party has been haunted by that secret. The paranoia, the cryptic hints, the erratic decisions, these aren't just celebrity quirks. They could be echoes of a pact that chained two powerful figures to a past that refuses to let them rest. One shocking claim even went further, alleging that Sean Carter was responsible for enlisting Hype Williams to put Aaliyah on a faulty plane, supposedly as punishment for rejecting him, and as a way to clear the path for Beyonce.
Beyonce is losing hundreds of thousands, millions of followers every day. And she still hasn't said anything, just pretending like life is great in Paris.
Is it her place to say so?
I mean, probably not, considering she's gonna be indicted for anything she would say. These Diddy is a dealer, and so is Jay-Z. The proof is there.
Now, with one half of that pact already facing the fight of his life, the pressure on the other is only growing. Hidden witnesses could resurface. Suppressed files could leak, and even a single confession from Keefe D or another insider could blow the story wide open. That's why whispers of Jay-Z being a second suspect don't just sound sensational, they sound dangerous. They carry the potential to completely rewrite what people thought they knew about hip-hop's history. The chilling possibility is that the legacies of two moguls, two billionaires, two icons celebrated as symbols of success may have never been clean. Behind the polished suits, glossy magazines, and halftime shows, perhaps there's always been a secret stitched in silence. If even part of this proves true, the cost of their empire wasn't just rivals crushed or contracts signed. It was blood spilled on the Vegas Strip, buried under decades of silence and protected by institutions that chose money and influence over truth. And maybe the most haunting question in all of this is, if the silence breaks now, in an era of leaks, testimonies, and desperate deals to save yourself, who will actually survive? What else could Jay-Z be hiding? Could the very foundation of modern hip-hop's power structure collapse if one more witness steps forward? At the end of the day, viewers are left to decide. Was Jay-Z's empire built purely on brilliance, or is there a secret past waiting to explode? Because no matter how carefully it's been buried, the truth always has a way of finding the light. And that's the story for now. What do you think? Could these whispers really shake hip-hop's biggest names? Drop your thoughts in the comments, share this video with fellow fans, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Stay tuned, more tea is coming soon.